In the quiet of the house, broken only by the soft brush of a furry body and a piercing gaze, something forbidden was born, something that transcended the permissible. What happens when the thin line between tenderness and desire blurs, giving way to primal instincts? This is a story of submission and new sensations, capable of overturning all notions of morality. No one could have predicted how radically life would change on one summer day, as sunlight streamed into the room. Mark, away on a week-long business trip, had left his German shepherd, Hulk, in her care. Hulk was a majestic dog with a glossy black coat and intense eyes that seemed capable of reading thoughts. His presence evoked mixed feelings, on one hand, a sense of peace, on the other, a feeling of power. In Mark's absence, she allowed herself to relax, indulging in reading or watching her favorite series. But with time, the house began to feel too spacious and empty. Loneliness, like a shadow, pursued her, especially in the quiet of the night. Hulk seemed to sense her melancholy. Despite his imposing appearance, he was very sensitive and often approached her, as if understanding she needed companionship. One day, the heat was unbearable. A slight breeze from the fan barely stirred the stuffy air. While reading, her thoughts kept returning to Mark's swift return and a strange sensation that something unusual was happening in the house, something not yet understood. Suddenly, like a shadow, Hulk appeared. His powerful paws moved silently across the wooden floor until he stopped beside her, almost at her feet. His brown eyes gazed with an almost human understanding. It was as if he wanted to say something, to share wisdom she wasn't yet ready for. His soft fur brushed her skin, and for a moment, the oppressive loneliness receded. A faint smile touched her lips as her hand gently stroked his head, feeling an invisible bond strengthen between them. The day passed peacefully. But deep down, something was changing. Perhaps loneliness made her cherish even a small presence, or perhaps Hulk, with his silent devotion, was teaching her companionship. There was no answer. His absence was felt in every corner of the house, and she longed to know how he was, if he missed her just as much. Her fingers instinctively glided through Hulk's soft fur as her thoughts drifted away. He had always been a loyal friend, and his watchful gaze seemed to notice even what was hidden from herself. Soon, she noticed Hulk behaving differently. He subtly shifted his position, moving closer, and tilted his head with curiosity. His warm tongue gently touched her skin, a gesture she perceived as an attempt to get her attention. Usually, this wouldn't evoke any particular emotion, but at that moment, perhaps due to the heat or the loneliness, a strange sense of surprise and comfort arose. It was as if something ignited within her. Suddenly, Hulk was right beside her, gazing with his deep eyes, always full of curiosity and understanding. "Don't worry," flashed through her mind, but it wasn't about Hulk, it was about herself. Loneliness had unleashed an inner storm that was hard to control. She needed to compose herself, to shift her thoughts. But his warm tongue began to explore her legs, eliciting unexpected sensations. Heat enveloped her body as he continued his gentle caresses. No, she thought, but something inside had already awakened. Hulk seemed to sense her growing arousal, and his tongue touched her intimate area. Losing control, her clothes were discarded. In a moment, she was on her hands and knees on the living room rug, and Hulk was behind her. He moved fiercely, his powerful body completely dominant. The tension was unbearable. She had never experienced anything like it before. He continued to hold her for a long time. Only 2 hours later, exhausted and satisfied, she collapsed onto the rug. In the days that followed, her thoughts never ceased. Guilt for betraying Mark overwhelmed her, yet at the same time, she yearned for a repeat. Hulk had changed too. He became more possessive, his attention more insistent. He seemed to know how to give pleasure, how to make her beg for more. When Mark returned, the guilt lingered, but she couldn't avoid the knowing glances exchanged with Hulk. He kept their secret, but his demeanor had shifted. "He'll protect you even more now," Mark said, his tone making her wary. But he didn't see what was truly happening. If he had known what transpired when they were alone, everything would have been different. But the secret they shared belonged only to the two of them, kept deep within her heart. From that pivotal moment, Hulk changed her life forever, leaving an indelible mark that no one else could understand. He subjected her to his will, imbuing her with a power and unconditional ownership. This was more than just physical attraction or an emotional bond, it was something profound, defying conventional norms and societal expectations. She loved being part of this mighty creature, feeling his raw strength and power.